Sophia had it all: beauty, intelligence, and the envy of nearly everyone in her circle. But what truly set her apart was her relationship with Ethan, a self-made billionaire known for his charm and immense wealth. Their high-profile romance was the stuff of fairy tales. Lavish vacations, extravagant gifts, and appearances at exclusive galas painted the picture of a perfect couple living a dream life. But beneath the surface, Sophia was troubled. She felt increasingly out of place in Ethan's world. While he was kind and generous, their relationship had become transactional, as though her presence was just another symbol of his success. Conversations revolved around profits, business strategies, and social appearances, leaving little room for genuine connection. Sophia began to yearn for simplicity, authenticity, and a life that didn't revolve around materialism. This longing became more pronounced after a chance encounter one evening. On a rare solo outing, Sophia's car broke down on a quiet suburban street. Stranded and frustrated, she called a tow truck, but it was a local mechanic, Luke, who arrived first. With his grease-stained hands and a gentle smile, he assured her everything would be okay. Luke's demeanor was warm, unpretentious, and a stark contrast to the polished, high-stakes world Sophia was used to. As he worked on her car, they struck up a conversation. Luke shared stories of his modest but fulfilling life. He talked about his passion for fixing things, his close-knit family, and his dream of opening his own garage one day. Sophia found herself laughing in a way she hadn't in months. For the first time in a long while, she felt seen, not as Ethan's glamorous girlfriend, but as herself. After the car was, and authenticity lingered in her mind, making her question everything about her current life. While Ethan showered her with gifts, Luke had offered her something far more meaningful, a glimpse of a life filled with purpose, connection, and simplicity. In the days that followed, Sophia began to reflect on her relationship with Ethan. The grandeur of his world, once intoxicating, now felt suffocating. She realized that despite all the luxury surrounding her, she was lonely. Her heart yearned for the warmth and sincerity she had felt during her brief encounter with Luke. Sophia couldn't ignore the nagging voice inside her anymore. She started making excuses to visit the neighborhood where Luke's garage was located. Each visit felt like a breath of fresh air. They would chat over coffee while he worked on cars, their conversations flowing effortlessly. Luke's humility and grounded nature were a stark contrast to the superficiality she had grown accustomed to. One evening, after yet another gala where she had felt like nothing more than a trophy on Ethan's arm, Sophia made a bold decision. She ended her relationship with Ethan. The media erupted with headlines about the breakup, speculating endlessly about what could have driven her to leave such a wealthy man. But Sophia didn't care about the gossip. She had found clarity. She wasn't leaving Ethan for Luke. She was leaving to find herself. And in Luke's world, she found a kindred spirit who reminded her of what truly mattered in life. After Sophia's decision to leave Ethan and the life of luxury she once thought was her dream, she found herself stepping into unfamiliar territory. The penthouses, designer wardrobes, and chauffeur-driven cars were replaced by a small, cozy apartment in a quiet neighborhood. It wasn't opulent, but it was hers, and for the first time in years, she felt in control of her life. The transition wasn't easy. Sophia was used to a world where every whim was catered to, and appearances mattered more than substance. Now, she had to learn how to navigate a simpler existence. She burned her first meal on the tiny stove, struggled to assemble furniture she'd bought on sale, and realized how intimidating a grocery store could be when she didn't have a personal assistant by her side. But with each challenge came a small triumph, and slowly, Sophia began to feel pride in her independence. During this time, Luke became a steady presence in her life. He didn't judge her struggles or offer pity. Instead, he was there with a kind word, a helping hand, or just a quiet moment of understanding. Sophia found herself drawn to the authenticity of their connection. Unlike the polished conversation she was used to, their talks were raw and real. They spoke of their pasts, their fears, and their hopes for the future. Sophia began to see Luke's garage as a metaphor for life itself, messy, chaotic, and full of surprises, yet also a place where broken things could be fixed. She spent more time there, watching Luke work and even learning a few basics about cars. She found joy in the simplicity of it all, something she hadn't experienced in years. Her new life also gave her the freedom to pursue her passions. Sophia had always wanted to make a difference in the world, but her role as Ethan's partner had often felt like a cage. Now she had the chance to channel her energy into something meaningful. Using her skills and connections, she launched a nonprofit aimed at empowering young women to overcome societal pressures and pursue their dreams. The work wasn't glamorous, but it was fulfilling. Sophia organized workshops, mentored young women, and used her platform to amplify their stories. Luke was her biggest supporter, often volunteering his time to help with events or simply cheering her on when the challenges felt overwhelming. Despite the progress she was making, the world around her wasn't always kind. The media continued to scrutinize her every move, painting her as a woman who had downgraded her life for a mechanic. Old acquaintances, who had once envied her life, now whispered behind her back or avoided her altogether. But Sophia was unshaken. She had traded a life of pretense for one of purpose, and she wouldn't let anyone take that away from her. Besides, she wasn't alone. Luke stood by her side, his unwavering belief in her giving her strength. One day, as she walked into Luke's garage with coffee for them both, she saw him helping a young boy fix his bicycle. The sight warmed her heart. Luke had a way of making everyone feel seen and valued, and it reminded her why she had fallen for him. He wasn't just a mechanic. He was someone who understood what it meant to give, to care, and to love unconditionally. Sophia's journey of self-discovery was far from over, but she was no longer afraid. With Luke by her side and a renewed sense of purpose guiding her, she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. The life she was building wasn't about wealth or status. It was about love, growth, and the courage to create her own path. As Sophia and Luke grew closer, their lives began to intertwine in ways neither of them had expected. Sophia's nonprofit was gaining traction, and Luke had become an integral part of her efforts. His garage, once a quiet corner of town, was now a hub of community activity. The couple organized free workshops where Luke taught basic car maintenance to young women, helping them gain confidence and independence. Sophia realized how much joy she found in working alongside Luke, and together they were building something far greater than either had imagined. But not everyone was happy about Sophia's newfound happiness. Ethan, her ex-fiancé, couldn't understand how she had chosen a simple mechanic over him. To Ethan, it was a personal affront, a stain on his ego and reputation. Despite his attempts to move on publicly, he privately nursed a grudge, growing increasingly resentful of the attention Sophia and Luke were receiving. One evening, while Luke and Sophia were wrapping up a workshop at the garage, a sleek black car pulled into the driveway. Out stepped Ethan, dressed in an expensive suit, his every move radiating confidence and control. Sophia froze at the sight of him, the memories of their life together rushing back in a flood of emotions. Ethan didn't waste time with pleasantries. He looked around the garage with disdain before turning his gaze to Sophia. "This is what you left me for?" he said, his voice dripping with contempt. "A run-down garage and a man who spends his days covered in grease?" Sophia felt the old insecurity rise within her, but before she could respond, Luke stepped forward. Calm but firm, he met Ethan's glare head-on. "This garage," Luke said, his voice steady, "is where real people come to solve real problems. It might not be glamorous, but it's honest work. And as for Sophia, she's found something here that you could never give her: freedom and respect." Ethan scoffed, brushing Luke off as though he were nothing more than an annoyance. "Freedom? Respect? Don't kid yourself. She's slumming it because it makes her feel good. But we both know she'll come crawling back when she gets tired of playing this little game." Sophia's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Enough, Ethan," she said, her tone resolute. "This isn't about you, and it never was. I left because I couldn't live a lie anymore. What I have with Luke isn't a game, it's real. and I'm not going back to a life where I'm just a trophy on someone's arm. Ethan's expression faltered for a moment, but he quickly masked it with a smirk. "We'll see how long this lasts," he said, before turning on his heel and walking out. The encounter left Sophia shaken, but Luke was there to hold her steady. "You don't have to prove anything to him," Luke said softly. "You've already won by choosing to be true to yourself." The incident with Ethan became a turning point for Sophia. She realized that while she couldn't control how others perceived her choices, she could control how she responded. She threw herself into her work with renewed passion, determined to show the world, and herself, that she didn't need wealth or status to find fulfillment. As the months passed, Sophia and Luke's bond only grew stronger. They faced challenges together, from financial struggles to societal judgment, but their love was a constant source of strength. Sophia's nonprofit continued to thrive, and Luke's garage became a symbol of hope and community. One day, a local news outlet picked up their story. The headline read, "From Heiress to Humanitarian: How One Woman Found Love and Purpose in an Unexpected Place." The article highlighted Sophia's journey and the impact she and Luke were making on their community. It went viral, drawing attention from people around the world. Sophia received messages from women who were inspired by her courage to leave a toxic relationship and create a life on her own terms. Luke, too, was celebrated for his generosity and humility, proving that you didn't need a fortune to make a difference. Ethan, seeing the positive attention Sophia and Luke were receiving, attempted to discredit them. He reached out to the media, spinning stories about Sophia's past and painting her as someone who had thrown away everything out of recklessness. But his attempts backfired. People saw through his bitterness, and the public rallied around Sophia and Luke, admiring their resilience and integrity. Through it all, Sophia and Luke remained focused on what mattered most: their love for each other and their mission to uplift others. They knew that life would always have its challenges, but as long as they faced them together, they could overcome anything. Years later, Sophia and Luke's story became a legend in their small town, and beyond. The nonprofit Sophia had started flourished into a national organization, helping countless women and families find stability and independence. Luke's garage evolved into a social enterprise, providing job training for people who had struggled to find opportunities elsewhere. Together, they had created a legacy that went far beyond their wildest dreams. But what truly mattered was the life they built together, filled with love, understanding, and shared purpose. Every morning, Luke would head to the garage while Sophia balanced her time between managing her nonprofit and working alongside Luke on community projects. Their life wasn't lavish, but it was rich in every way that counted. One crisp autumn afternoon, as they were finishing up another free workshop at the garage, a familiar black car pulled into the driveway. Luke and Sophia exchanged a glance, immediately recognizing the vehicle. It was Ethan. But this time, he wasn't alone. A young woman stepped out with him, holding a folder and looking nervous. Ethan approached them, his demeanor no longer arrogant but subdued. He extended his hand awkwardly toward Luke. I owe you both an apology," he said, his voice lacking its usual sharpness. "I've been holding on to resentment for too long, and it's only made me bitter. The truth is, I've watched what you've built, and it's inspiring." Sophia raised an eyebrow but remained silent, waiting for Ethan to continue. "This is my niece, Clara," Ethan said, gesturing to the young woman. "She's been struggling to find her place and, well, I thought maybe your nonprofit or your garage program could help her. She's smart, hard-working, but she's had some rough patches." Sophia looked at Clara, who seemed both hopeful and uncertain. "Clara, do you want to do this?" Sophia asked gently. Clara nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I want to learn, and I want to make something of myself. I've heard so much about what you do here, and I think I need a fresh start." Luke smiled warmly. "Well, Clara, you've come to the right place. If you're willing to work hard and learn, we'll support you every step of the way." As they walked Clara through the garage and explained the programs they offered, Ethan lingered behind. He seemed out of place, unsure of how to navigate this new dynamic. Sophia noticed his unease and decided to break the silence. "Ethan, you know, it takes courage to admit when you're wrong," she said softly. "And it takes even more to ask for help for someone you care about. That says a lot." Ethan gave a small, grateful smile. "Thank you, Sophia. I've realized that life isn't just about power and money. Watching you and Luke build this, it's made me reflect on what I've been missing. I hope someday I can give back the way you two have." From that day forward, Clara became a regular at the garage, quickly proving herself to be a determined and capable young woman. She thrived under Luke's mentorship and even began volunteering with Sophia's nonprofit. Her transformation became yet another testament to the power of compassion and second chances. As for Ethan, he began supporting their efforts behind the scenes, using his connections to help expand Sophia's nonprofit and bring attention to their cause. Though their relationship would never be the same, there was a newfound respect between him and Sophia, built on understanding and growth. Sophia and Luke's journey was far from over. They continued to face challenges, but their love and unwavering commitment to making a difference kept them strong. Every success, every life they touched, reminded them of the path they had chosen, a path filled with purpose, hope, and the kind of love that could weather any storm. In the end, their story wasn't just about leaving behind wealth and privilege or overcoming societal judgment. It was about choosing authenticity, finding joy in the simplest of moments, and building a legacy rooted in kindness. And as they stood side by side, watching their community grow stronger, they knew they had found something far more valuable than anything money could buy: a life of true meaning, shared together.